Where does the Holy Spirit fit in with discipleship? I rarely hear this mentioned. The second is, how do you define a disciple? In order to understand how the Holy Spirit works in discipleship, you have to understand what a disciple is. In the first century, they were rabbis, teachers, and they would call followers to themselves called disciples, mathetes in Greek. And those rabbis would teach those disciples their specific teaching, their interpretation of the law, and they would also show them their way of life, their way of doing things. This is to teach them their teaching instruction, and this is to teach them their way of life. So a disciple is becoming like a little version of their rabbi. Once you understand that a disciple is an apprentice learner who is following the rabbi to learn from the rabbi and do what the rabbi does and teach what the rabbi teaches, all of a sudden what the Holy Spirit's role in discipleship is becomes incredibly clear. Because first of all, we see that in the ministry of Jesus, the Holy Spirit played a role front and center. When Jesus had fasted 40 days and 40 nights in the book of Luke in chapter 4, after that he goes into the synagogue in Nazareth and he reads from the book of Isaiah, and he reads, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me to proclaim good news to the poor, and also to recover sight for the blind, and to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." So there's a proclamation, a teaching instruction, and there's also a doing, deliverance, healing. And so these are the two categories of what a rabbi does. A rabbi teaches specific instruction, and a rabbi has a way of life, a way of doing specific things. So Jesus had a specific teaching. It's called his yoke. "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me." And Jesus also had a way of casting out demons, healing sick, and he brought his disciples along, taught them his teaching, and showed them how to go about doing these things. And then in Luke 10, he sends out the 72 to go proclaim the good news of the kingdom, to heal diseases, to cast out demons. That's discipleship. And we see also, Peter says in Acts chapter 10 to Cornelius, that it was by the power of the Holy Spirit that Jesus went around doing the things that he did. The Holy Spirit had a front and center role in the ministry of Jesus. Jesus says, "The Holy Spirit can't come and help you unless I depart." What does he say the Holy Spirit will do? The Holy Spirit will guide you in all truth, and the Holy Spirit will remind you of all the things that I taught you. Why? So that you can go and make disciples, so that you can be reminded of what I taught, to teach what I taught. It's implied there, I believe. And then in Acts chapter 1, he says, "Wait in Jerusalem until the Holy Spirit comes on you in power." Why? Because the Spirit will empower you to do the work of ministry, to carry on the work that Jesus had. Once you understand discipleship as being an apprentice of Jesus, to learn the teachings of Jesus, to teach the teachings of Jesus, to learn the lifestyle of Jesus, to live the lifestyle of Jesus, the ministry of Jesus, and then you see how the Holy Spirit did that in the ministry of Jesus and then was promised to do that for his disciples when Jesus left, you begin to see that the Holy Spirit has a critical role in discipleship. I hope that helps you. And if you want to watch another video on the Holy Spirit, I highly recommend this one. Have a great day.